terrific. He's always so helpful to the patrons there. The other week I was in there, and this little old lady came in, and she went up to Bill and she said, "Mr. Martino, could you tell me where the do-it-yourself section is?" And he looked at her, he said, "Madam, if I told you where it was, it would really ruin the whole point of do-it-yourself, wouldn't it?" Very helpful, that's Bill. There was a man there who said, "Do you have any books on suicide?" Bill said, "Suicide? We used to have a lot, but nobody ever brought them back." I like the classics myself. You know, classics like Moby Dick. Did you know that when Melville wrote Moby Dick, he didn't use that name. He wanted to call it Moby Charlie, but it just didn't have the same sort of ring to it. And there are a lot of the classics that we know now by their names, but they were originally written with different names. I mean, there was Uncle Tom's Condo, for instance. 50 Shades of a Very Dark Brown. Alice's Adventures in Coshocton. Let's see, there was Catcher in the Brussels Sprouts Field, and my favourite, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Charlie Ramsbottom. I'm a Dickens fan myself, Charles Dickens. I really like Charles Dickens, your Bleak House and Nicholas Nickleby and all those. The other week I happened to see in the paper that there was a movie playing over in Akron, a movie version of A Tale of Two Cities. I thought, oh, I've got to see this. So I drove all the way over to Akron, got there, and found that I probably misread the title. It was actually a porno movie titled A Sale of Two Titties. It was very good, though. It was very, very educational. Very exciting. I'm glad I was wearing Depends. Bill has been introducing some new books to the children's section of the library. He feels that there needs to be more realism in the children's section. He likes books which will tell children what life is really like. So I've managed to get from him a list of the books that he's bought for the library. There's Curious George and a High Voltage Fence. Clifford, the big dog, is put to sleep. Daddy loses his job but finds the bottle. The boy who died after eating all his vegetables. Very sad. Things that rich kids have that you'll never have. My favorite, let's draw Tammy and Veronica without their clothes on. Strangers have the greatest candy. Pop goes the gerbil. Other microwave adventures. Dad's new wife, Kevin. And another of my favorites, the Care Bears maul some campers and get shot to death. Again, the other day when I was in the library, there was a young man bringing back a book, and Bill said to him, "What's that you've been reading?" The boy said, "It's The Hunchback of Notre Dame." Bill said, "Did you enjoy it?" He said, "No, about 50 pages into it, I realized it had nothing to do with football." I wrote a book myself, as a matter of fact. I wrote it under a pen name, Sharpie. Bill is very conscientious and likes to encourage his staff. And the other morning, before the library opened, he called everybody together and he said, look, I want to give you a little incentive here. He said, I've decided that all you who have worked here for 5 years, I'm going to give you a really beautiful green certificate suitable for framing, and hang it on your wall, and it says on it that you have worked at the library diligently for 5 years. He said, if you've worked here for 10 years, then I will give you this beautiful blue certificate, which is also suitable for framing, and which will say how very much the library appreciates all the work you've done for 10 years. And he says, if you've worked here for 15 years, I'll give you a badge. One of the librarians said, oh, what's it say on the badge? It says you've got a green certificate and a blue certificate. One of the librarians did manage to stump Bill, though. She said, if a word in the dictionary is misspelled, how would we know? Think about it. I was actually in the library to look at the Guinness Book of World Records. That's a great book, all sorts of interesting stuff in there. I looked in there, I saw that the world's oldest person had recently died. It was a Japanese lady. She died at the age of 125. And I thought, what's all this with the world's oldest person? Who wants that title? Don't they realize that it comes with a curse? I mean, if you look, everybody who gets that title, within a year or so of getting it, are dead. Think about that one. I was wondering what the job application is for a young lady who wants to get a job at Hooters. Do they just hand her a bra and say, fill this out? It's not like Denny's. You know, Denny's is a nice family restaurant. They've got a slogan. If it's your birthday, the meal is on us. If you're going into Denny's to celebrate your birthday, your life sucks. I see that J.C. Penney has a line of clothing for the older woman, and it's really not very kind of them. They name it Sag Harbor. That was so funny, I forgot my next line. Of course. Another new book at the library, yes. It's a new book that Bill brought in. It's called 1001 Sex Secrets for Husbands. And apparently 1001 women contributed to this, giving secrets that they felt that husbands needed to know to make their wives happy in bed. Actually, I think they only need to know 3 things. Slow down and take your time, turn off the TV, and call out the right name. I think if I was writing a sex book, I think I would title it, Ouch, You're on My Hair. But you know, women like to really feel that they're being loved when they have sex. Men just need a place to do it. Show of hands, how many ladies here like to have sex first thing in the morning? How many of you like to be awake when it happens? You know, the French refer to sex as the little death. For me, I think death is possibly preferable because you can do it alone and nobody makes fun of you. I don't have much of a sex life. My dog watches me in the bedroom and that's how he learned to beg. then he taught my wife to roll over and play dead. But these are good. I mean, I can't miss any. That's the thing.
I'm surprised you can read it.
I'm surprised I can. No, my wife did decide that she would liven up our sex lives a little. She said, how about bringing a little fantasy into it? I said, that sounds good. She said, I'll tell you what, I'll fulfill your fantasy, and then you can fulfill mine. I said, great, go down and wash the car. I see there's been a new sex survey. They find that 21% of couples have sex 4 or 5 times a week. Of course, that number drops down to once a week when you add in the words with your spouse. I said to my wife, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think I am as a lover? She said, oh, come on, you know I can't do fractions. But there was one time I made love to my wife for 1 hour and 5 minutes. That was about 3 weeks ago, the night they put the clocks forward. Change the subject. Let me tell you a little bit about my family. I've got a big family, lots of uncles and aunts and cousins. I've got 2 cousins who are twins, and people are always asking me, can you tell them apart? I said, yes, it's easy. He's got a mustache and she hasn't. or is it the other way around? I've got one cousin who's named Shuey. Actually, his name is Huey, but his mother's got very loose, fitting false teeth. Shuey? My uncle and aunt, let's see, Uncle Charlie and Auntie Peggy, they're getting a divorce. Religious reasons. He thinks he's God and she doesn't. Let's see, Uncle Claude, he's joining the calendar. You know, they're saying 30 days have September, April, June, and November. Well, the judge just gave Uncle Claude 30 days, so he's joining Canada. I like Uncle Claude, actually. He gives a lot of money to sick animals. Of course, he doesn't know they're sick when he bets on them, but that's it. And he recently got fired. He used to work at an orange juice factory, but he got canned because he couldn't concentrate. Then for a while he worked at a factory where they made fire hydrants, but he had to quit because he could never park anywhere near the place. But anyway, let me finish up with another library story for you that I got from Bill. Apparently last summer, Bill was working late at the library. That's an unusual thing for you to do. But Bill was working late at the library, was the only person there. And it was a hot night, but since he was the only one, he didn't want to turn on the air conditioner. So he opened the side door and he hoped that there'd be some little breeze that would come in. So he was working there when suddenly in through the door walks a chicken. And he walks in and he walks up to Bill and looks up at him and says, "Buck, buck, buck." "Buck, buck, buck." So Bill gives the chicken 3 books. He tucks one under each wing, one in his beak, and out he goes. Bill keeps working. About 10 minutes later, the chicken's back with the same books, drops them on the floor, looks up at Bill. "Book, book, book." Bill gives him another 3 books, one under each arm, one in his beak, out he goes. 10 minutes later, the chicken's back again. "Book, book, book." Bill gives him 3 more books, but this time, when the chicken goes out, Bill very quietly follows after him. And the chicken goes across the road, across the field, down to the stream, follows the stream along to the pond, and there's a big frog sitting there. The chicken puts the books down, the Frog looks down and he says, ready, ready, ready. You've been a great audience. Thanks very much. Thank you.
That was lame.
This is the 8th time that we've had this, and this was by far Buck's finest moment. That was awesome. I'll be back in the damn library anytime soon, I'll tell you that.